What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in a living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Let me entertain you. Oh my goodness, the weddings are coming back. I did a wedding last night over at the Meadow on the Mountain in Atkins, Arkansas. What a great place for a wedding. What a beautiful location for a wedding. And we had the food from Pasta Grill, and then the photographer was Shingler Photography out of Russellville, Arkansas. Fantastic. Great team. And Nathan and Rachel, I wish you long life and happy years in your marriage. Mazel tov. Excellent. So happy with these weddings, and I get to be a part of them. I appreciate it so much. This week's shows, tonight I have a surprise. I'm not usually at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas on Saturday nights, but I'm at the Rab in Arkansas Saturday night. That's 2 Saturdays in a row. I appreciate the people from All About Entertainment, Brock Forness, for letting me have the opportunity. I'm usually there on Friday nights. I'll be there next Friday night as well for the video dance party karaoke jam at 8 p.m. That's the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Yeah. Today on the program, I have Jill Santibanez and Rachael Ruby of the Girl Next Door podcast. Yeah, I'm kind of stoked about that. I got them on Skype. So I'm able to get some video. So if you're listening to the audio version of this, I encourage you to check out the video version on my YouTube page, youtube.com/user/Keys Dan, or just look up Keys Dan on YouTube. And there's 3 different YouTube channels. The one with the Radio What logo right next to my name is the one where you'll find the podcasts. Oh, yeah. All right, let's get into it with Jill Santibanez and Rachael Ruby of the Girl Boss Next Door. Skyping them now. Okay, I think we're ready. Yay, this is good. I have Jill and Rachael, the Girl Boss Next Door. See, it's singular, the Girl Boss Next Door, but there's 2 of you. You know, I'm a very, very lucky man. I consider myself very fortunate at this particular time because I'm talking to the lovely ladies. You know, that's what the fellas want, is to talk to the ladies. And I get Jill Santibanez. Of course, I like to pronounce it the Spanish way since I'm half Cuban, Santibanez. And then Rachael Ruby. I know you have a different last name, but I guess we'll go by Rachael Ruby. This will be your pseudo, your alternate in the ego. Rachael Ruby, tell me why Ruby?
That was my grandmother's name, my middle name.
Well, that makes it quite simple, doesn't it? Yes, it does.
Yeah, Nana Ruby.
Well, all right. Big tributes, and that's how we keep them living forever and ever and ever. Amen, for sure. Now, Jill Santibanez, I know I've talked to you before, and we've worked together, and we've promoted people together with your Nashville Entertainment Weekly and the like. Tell me what's going on these days, Jill Santibanez.
Yeah, thank you so much again for interviewing Rachael and I. I know you've interviewed TJ and I before to talk about our television show, Nashville Entertainment Weekly, and our record label, Nashville Entertainment Weekly Records, and our PR company, Nashville Entertainment Weekly PR. And you've also interviewed several of our artists, and you have a radio show besides your interview show. So Radio What, you've been spinning a lot of our artists on Radio What. So thank you so much for everything you do, Dan.
Well, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be helping each other. You know, we're all living on this crazy rock falling through space at 1,000,000 miles per hour. And no, that's not scientific. Whoever is watching out there, all the scientists, it's not 1,000,000 miles per hour. Actually, it's 0.2. No, I get it. You know, but you know, we're all falling through this rock in outer space, but we have to lend a helping hand, and that's what you do primarily with your Nashville Entertainment Weekly. You and TJ, you guys help artists that are just starting out and even artists that are established to get even more established, get that new music out there. That's what we're supposed to be doing, helping each other out in whatever we do. Wouldn't you agree, Miss Rachael? Well, I don't even know, Rachael, what is it you do on the side when you're not being a girl boss, or is it always girl bossing?
I mean, I like to think I'm always girl bossing. I mean, I try. No, I write. I write stuff.
Well, what have you written? Is there anything out there published that people can find, and where do they find it? I mean, let's promote. Let's talk about you and the things that you're doing.
Well, I started off writing years ago, mainly theater plays and stuff like that. But since I've been in LA, I'm part of a writing team called the Outside Writers. And yes, we got a movie. It's out on iTunes and Netflix. It's called Saint Agatha. It's a bit of a horror kind of thriller, 50s vibe. 50s vibe. I'm currently working on a short film with a director called Brent Howard. And it's about a teacher who basically can't grow up. And it's called 30+5. And a couple of crazy things happen to her to kind of force her to make some life decisions. So a couple of things going on, kind of exciting, kind of just being a little loner hermit in my room, kind of typing away, Well, that's my thing.
For those that are watching that are 20 years into the future, and maybe this is the only time capsule of this moment in time that survives into the future, we're currently starting to break out of this COVID-19 quarantine that we've been in over a year now. I guess since February or March of last year of 2019, and now we're breaking out. But a lot of people have been indoors. Creators such as yourselves have been stuck indoors, and creators got to create. And I'm glad that you had this outward where you get to write things, and you actually have things on Netflix. I'm going to put Saint Agatha on my watch list because I got to know what it is that Rachael Ruby writes. But and it's it sounds like you have some things that are burning, that are in the books. But Jill Santibanez, you're always promoting. You're always on my social feed. You're always asking me if an artist can take over my Radio What Facebook page,
yes,
which I love.
And you do that too. That's right. You do Facebook Live takeovers. Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's not about me. Hey, enough about me. But what do you think of me? I'm kidding. I kid. But and I have fun with those. I love watching them and promoting them and watching these artists just go doing what they're doing, because they're really not making a lot of money, if any money at all. People put money in their tip jars, and that's how they make some kind of income. But mostly they're trying to get their creative juices flowing, their art out there to the world. Oh my goodness. I mean, Rachael Ruby, you being a writer, and then Jill Santibanez, you being a television spokesperson and what have you. All you want to do is be seen and help others to be seen as well. But Jill Santibanez, tell me about what made you start the girl bossing, and what makes you a girl boss? Rachael already said she's a boss all the time, or at least she likes to think so. What makes you a girl boss, Jill Santibanez?
Well, I do want to talk about what Rachael and I are doing together, because it's so funny because TJ and I, like I told you, we're in the moving process, and he's finding other outlets to be creative with some friends that we've kind of moved next to, and I'm like, I have time, when he's not around, when he's not in the office, and I miss Rachael, because I'm from California originally. I don't know if I told you that, Dan, and I've been away from Rachael for 10 years. I've been in the South, and it's just so hard to be from that, when you're around all the Nashville, or not, well, I should say Los Angeles, when you're around all of your Los Angeles friends, and then you leave that scene, that creative scene, we definitely, TJ and I have built so many things together, but I miss Rachael and I miss my friends, in Los Angeles, and all the stuff that we were doing on set. And I texted Rachael one day. I said, what do you think about starting a podcast? And she got back to me so quickly, thank goodness, because I really wanted to work with her again, because she was my favorite person to work with on set, because we're both actresses. And she said yes. And then she's the one actually that created the name, that kind of created the idea behind it. But we really wanted to promote female entrepreneurs, because she and I are. And really, and I know Rachael has a lot to say about this, but I really feel like for she and I, for what we're doing in the business world, I think it's invaluable knowledge to hear from other people, other female entrepreneurs, to see what they're doing, what is helping them, and just different things that they've had to go through, because we're all learning. It's a learning process constantly.
Well, I'm a city boy myself, a city mouse, if you will, and I'm living here as a country mouse now. I'm from Miami, and I was in a number 12 market in the radio, so I had a lot of artists that would come through. It was so much fun having all these big name artists, quote unquote big name artists, come sit in front of me for a few minutes and talk about their shows that are coming up tonight, or the red carpet that was going on in Miami. A lot of times these red carpet events would happen in Miami, so on the radio I would get invited to go record a few words with these people. So living in Los Angeles has got to be fantastic, because that is the place you ought to be if you want to do the movies and you want to do the entertainment business. But Nashville, it's not really like you moved from a big city to a teeny tiny city. You went to Nashville. That's Music City. That's a place where you can promote people with music wise. Is there any movie business as well? And Jill, I'm going to ask you: is there any movie stuff or television stuff that you're getting involved in lately, or even ever in Nashville?
Yeah, you know what? I do have an agent in Nashville, and she does submit me for a lot of things, and they're commercials and film and television and all around the South, and also voiceover work, because she suggested that I do voiceover work, and I've actually done voiceover work before for the TV shows that TJ and I have for the commercial sponsors that we get. And it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. And then I told Rachel, too, for our upcoming sponsors, I said she and I definitely both have to, ask, would you like us to do voiceover work? Because she has a great voice. And our new intro for our show, Girl Boss Next Door, she did it. And I was like, oh, my gosh, I love your voice. It's good.
Well, that was a good day.
I mentioned you recently. You were, oh my goodness, I just lost my train of thought. Don't you hate it when you get older? No, we mentioned earlier when we were talking that we were both in the process of moving, and right now I'm talking to you on my headset microphone, which is not my favorite microphone. Whenever I'm doing voiceovers, whenever I'm doing commercials, and I like to use my good mic. I have a pod mic, and then hey, as soon as some people sponsor me, I'm going to get the Shure SM7B, the good mic, so I can start really sounding the way I should be sounding. People, whenever they meet me, they go, wow, you have a built-in compressor in your voice. It's so deep. It's so full. But, voice acting is something that I would love to get into, but Rachel Ruby, you being an actress out there, living in LA, in the middle of it all.
Oh, yeah.
What other types of projects have you been involved in the past, besides the Saint Agatha, which is available on Netflix? What other projects have you been involved in, and what else would you like to talk about?
We've done so many. I mean, even when it's been 10 years. I mean, Jill and I have done like countless commercials together. I don't even know how many. We did print jobs, voiceover stuff. It's just nonstop. I mean, this is the place. It's just every single day something is filming. You can't even drive down the street, without, oh my gosh, it's a film crew. What are they filming? And they always lie to you. They never tell you what's going on. I do have an agent too. I mean, I'll be honest. I really just kind of went from theater to kind of short films, a couple of feature films, but I really just love writing these days. I know it's kind of an odd thing, but I just like the storytelling side. I feel like there's more control. I feel like I get to have more of a say creatively about where this project goes, where the story goes. But that's not to say that, you don't know where things are going to take you sometimes. I mean, that's when Jill says, hey, you want to do a podcast? I'm like, oh, yes, I do.
Yeah. I do like that the internet the internet can be used for good, and people have been starting podcasts. There was 700,000 podcasts at last count, probably closer to a million now. Anybody with a smartphone and something to say, or they feel like they have something to say, can start a podcast. And I noticed your podcast is kind of it's not audio, it's mostly video, right? Do you have the audio loaded up any place?
Yeah, we got both.
Oh, okay. Because I was trying to find it on my Podcast Addict.
I know. It's so new. So we've been talking to. Yes, we've been talking to a local in Nashville, a local TV network called the Music City Arts Channel. So it's actually going to be featured on their network, which we're really excited about. And it's also going to be featured on, I don't know if we should release the information yet because we still need to sign paperwork, but it's going to be released on a radio station as well. So we're really excited about that. Rachel and I need to go through that this weekend. We've been so busy filming, which is a good thing. We've been busy with interviews and Rachel today, she's been like shuffling things just to get to this interview, which thank you so much, Rachel, for being a part of this today. So
thank you for checking in on me. Jill keeps me in check. Dan, I got to ask
so busy.
Dan, where are you moving to?
Oh, I'm moving from Conway, Arkansas, which is a college town of about 50,000, to Holland, Arkansas, which is on top of a mountain, population 511. Salute.
Oh, wow.
That sounds like my dream.
Yeah, it sounds like a dream, but it's kind of a nightmare for a guy who's in the into the internet, because I had to rent an office down in Conway, which is where I'm at right now, the Radio What Studios, currently located in Conway, Arkansas. I had to rent this office because there's no internet up on the mountain as of yet, or at least not sufficient internet. And that's the problems when you move to the country. I'm a city mouse. I've mentioned it before. I can't handle the country. And I've been to L.A. I've done parties in L.A., DJ'd parties in L.A. Love L.A. I love L.A. We love it. You know?
I've never been to Miami.
Oh.
I know that's shame. I know that's pure shame, but I mean, I would love to go to Miami.
Yeah, the movie industry is booming in Miami. Yeah, you know, every beach you were talking about going driving down the street in the streets of LA. There's always a camera crew, but every beach somebody is filming something. Now, I do suspect that a lot of them are Instagram models. Not to put down the Instagram models, but I guess I just did in some way. But you know, Instagram models have their place, and maybe I'm just a little bit jealous because with this face, I can donate it to science fiction, maybe. But at least I have the voice for radio. But you know, there's always something going on in this world, and if it's not going on, you can make it go on. And you being girl bosses, now the girl boss next door did have an original name. It wasn't completely that title. What was the original name of the girl boss next door, Jill?
Well, it's so funny because Rachel and I were bouncing back ideas, but she's just so creative because she's a writer. She's just so creative, and she came up with, you tell them, Rachel, because I don't want to get it wrong, because it's such a cute name.
I mean, there was a few names, you know, and I was like, what do we think of this? And Jill and I were going back and forth. I mean, I think in the beginning phase, what we knew we wanted to do was we wanted to celebrate and promote, you know, we love men too, but hey, we want a sisterhood. We wanted to build a community online, and we wanted to celebrate women who had, you know, achieved a goal. You know, they'd smashed something that they've always wanted to do. They either wrote a book, they started a business, they were, you know, stay-at-home mom groups who, you know, designed a product. And we were like, hey, this is fascinating. Even people we know. You think you know people, and then you see what they've been doing, and you're like, that should be celebrated. And, you know, even though their achievements, they might feel small, to somebody else, that's just pure inspiration. So we were like, what title can we kind of come up with that would sum up what we're trying to promote through other women? So we came up with cool, uncalm, and rally. Because like, you're cool, calm, and collected, but when you're, you know, trying to do your own business, you're trying to, you know, level yourself up a little bit. You're not always cool or calm, and you're definitely not collected. And we were like, everyone's got their ups and downs. Everyone has that story to share. So that was the original title. Yeah. Cool, uncalm, and rarely collected.
Yeah, I think of
Thank you.
the late great George Carlin. He had a small bit. And he says, "Calm, cool, and collected." These phrases, because he was all about words and phrases a lot of his career. And he said, "Calm, I can understand that. Cool, yeah, I can see. But collected, I've been collected from. I don't know how collected I am, but yeah, that was a little bit that he had. So you made some iterations, but I think I when I'm listening to podcasts, I like listening to history podcasts, and a lot of times they do celebrate the historical women and their significance and how they've actually been brushed over a lot of time by the men in history. So I'm here to celebrate women. I love celebrating women, but does it feel like it segregates because we still have for example on a medical thing, it says white, Hispanic, black. I'm half Irish. I'm half Cuban. I don't know what to check in these boxes, these little boxes.
Right, me either,
so I put white and I put Hispanic. I guess, you know, because I'm half. Nobody's one thing. If you look way back in the past, we're all African. We all came from Africa.
I agree with you.
But
I mean,
you know,
especially Europe, we're just one big pot of melt. I mean, I love it that way.
I do like it. I do like the celebration of different people and different cultures. You being in LA and me being from Miami, I'm currently in Arkansas, and talk about a little bit of a culture shock. I remember Miami, we were just people. I didn't know race until I had to be sixth grade, had to be seventh grade, because until sixth grade, I was in a Catholic school. We had black, white, red, brown, whatever, and we were all brothers and sisters. But then somewhere in that point, you learn that, that guy is different, and maybe you should treat him different. Why? Mm-hmm. Why? Because he was my best friend about a minute ago, and now I have to treat them different. But girls and boys treat each other different as well. Yes, we have physical differences, but the girls, it seems like in history, have been put down over the years, and now you're just starting to spread your wings. And it's not, hey, is sexism over? No, it's not over. It's not over. Is racism over? No. Not over.
Like racism, like exactly what you said. I don't know if in some people's minds it ever will be, but I think the difference is that we've stopped listening to people who just want to keep things the way they are, or they want to pedal backwards. Just got to stop listening at the end of the day. You know yourself, and you know you're in power, and you just got to keep going. You can't listen to every naysay.
I know I do a lot of karaoke shows and all kinds of people, and people ask me, hey, what kind of song does the crowd want to hear? What kind of crowd is it? I said, you sing what you want. It's all about you. Yeah. So I'll get somebody singing an R&B song. And maybe it's a white guy singing an R&B song. Maybe it's a black guy singing a country song. Maybe it's a girl singing a boy's song. It doesn't matter. We're all here to help each other out. And I know I'm getting on a soapbox, and I know that this conversation really is digging not just into the differences between boys and girls and how we can help each other. One time I got accused of being a racist, and I said, have I suppressed you in some way? And I know that if you watch Die Hard 4, that's the thing that Bruce Willis says to Sam Jackson. Is because Sam Jackson has a chip on his shoulder the whole time, and Bruce Willis turns to him and says, have I suppressed you in some way? Because I don't remember doing that. You're counting me for things that happened in the past. Jill, go.
Right.
Yeah, I think for me, I really miss my neighbors in Nashville that we're moving away from. And I miss my family, of course, that's in California. My sister, is closer to Nashville, and now I'm farther away from her. And I think I just miss that community of moms and of, women that all came together and loved my daughter, and being a new mom, my daughter's 2, and Rachel is also a mom. I feel like a connection with her in that way. And it's so funny when you have a community and because I'm still learning. It's of course everything's a learning process, and being a mom to me is just it's amazing. And I would choose that over work any day. But to be able to talk to women at a not just a level of entrepreneurship, but how do you juggle it? What can you do? How can I become a smarter businesswoman so I can work smarter, not harder, and have more time with my daughter, have more time with what is valuable in your life, and having a family and being there for my family. So creating things like this, especially when you want to be creative and you want to do that for a living. And Rachael is such a brilliant lady, and I'm so glad we're doing this together, because I know that it's going to go beyond podcasts, beyond television and radio, and I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people, not just entrepreneurs but also moms.
Well, yeah. Jill and Rachael, tell me about some of the roadblocks that you've come across. I mean, I know that you're a podcast that primarily interviews women that are, making a difference now in this day. Do you ever go through some of the history as well? And have you ever experienced some of the roadblocks that have been experienced by the sisters and mothers that came before you? Have you ever experienced any of those roadblocks? And I know that it could be rhetorical. I'm sure you have, but go ahead.
Go ahead, Rachael.
Oh, roadblocks. I'm an immigrant. You know what I mean? That's something that has always been a roadblock in a way. I mean, I know it sounds very strange me saying the word immigrant, because when you look at me, I don't necessarily fit the description of what everybody might think of as an immigrant. I'm a white girl. I'm from England. So you don't think, oh my goodness, she has any struggles or worries or anything. But actually, it was always there. And I know when I first met Jill was like, whatever, extremely positive all the time. She never put doubts in my mind. She was like, you guys will always be fine. But just to kind of get to a level of being accepted, feeling like, you've taken somebody's job, what are you doing here? You're going to be able to stay here. There's always something around that. There's definitely something where you feel like you do have to work harder. You do have something to prove when you come here, because, hey, what it means to be an American is just, it's so overwhelming. It's so mind blowing. And I always felt I had something to prove, and I wanted to come here and I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to change my life. I wanted a better life, and I wanted to give back. So, with that does come struggles, maybe not struggles with individuals, but definitely like immigration struggles. Everybody who's been through that process knows what I'm saying. And then, people's parents and grandparents who came here before, it's like, what's so special about being here? We all want the same thing. And like you keep saying, we all want the same thing. We're all here just to help each other out, so if we can't figure that out, we're screwed. But I think that now there's a collective movement to want to come back together. There has been, some division, there definitely has for maybe too long. So I think that there's definitely a feeling and a vibe that's rising, and Jill and I just want to be a part of that. We want to get on that train and say, right, how can we get involved? How can we lift each other up? How can we come together, collectively?
Well, as soon as I hear Rachael, I think you have points, because as soon as I hear an English accent, a British accent, you automatically have 100 IQ points in the plus. But that's just me, my personal opinion. I love a British accent. It's wonderful, and I love a British accent that comes out of people of all colors, of all shades. Oh yeah, it just it adds that much regalness to it. But does it limit you in your acting offers? When you have this British accent, I guess you can't play this, you can't play that. And I know a lot of British actors or people from the UK, they could put on an American accent or a Southern accent, just like we can attempt, and I say attempt, to put on a UK accent.
Okay, you do your English accent. Okay, go. Come on, I want to hear it.
Well, I guess it was recently Michael Caine's birthday on March 14th. So whenever I say Michael Caine, I have to say Michael Caine.
Michael Caine. Michael Caine. I mean, I feel like well, it's interesting because somebody's asked me this before. They said, some Americans find it a bit more difficult to do an English accent, but we grew up watching American TV and American movies nonstop. Yeah. So I don't know how it is the other way around. I don't know if you guys growing up younger remember watching so much, British stuff on TV, but I know my brother and I were like glued to the TV. Everything was American. I can do a little bit of this and a little bit of that,
That's cute.
I'm a Doctor Who fan, so yeah, Tom Baker's my doctor, number 4, so yeah, I got my British accents from him. But okay, Jill, let's go with that since we're having a little bit of fun with accents. I know you have this nice, middle American. Whenever we study broadcasting, whatever accent that we ever had growing up gets hammered out of us, and it gets called a middle American accent, which is an accent that nobody has. Here I am in Arkansas, and I don't have a drawl. I don't have an Arkansas drawl. No, sir. No, ma'am. But Jill, you're from way out west, California girl, so you could speak Valley, possibly, and here you are in Nashville. What accents have you had to put on for various TV shows and commercials?
Well, when I talk in normal conversation, I think I sound very Californian. I say like a lot, like this, like that, and I try not to. It's like my like constantly, and I think it's a California thing. And when I'm doing voiceover, for instance, I try to be very even-keeled. Hi, everybody, instead of being super Valley, because I think I just grew up in talking fast. And when I did come to the South, when I did work in offices. Right now, of course, I'm self-employed, which is very exciting. But when I worked in offices, the first thing they told me is you have to slow down. So as far as the way I talked, everybody's fine with the way I talk. But I did drop my G's a little bit because it does sound more Southern. Where are we going? Something doing. But as far as my speech, I just had to slow it down because people would even tell me on the other line, they would say, honey, I can't understand you. So that's the main thing, I guess, just slow down.
No, I get it. I was a firefighter down in Key Largo in the Florida Keys, and occasionally I had to dispatch, and one of the dispatch, the heads of dispatch, he said, hey, whenever you're dispatching an ambulance to this location or a fire truck to that location, be upset, be mad. Yeah, it's like, just get that mad feeling. We need a fire truck over at the courthouse. Just be mad when you're on that. It kind of it evens you out. But I don't use that too often because I'm not in the emergency services anymore. But it keeps you from getting all freaked out. There's a fire. There's a fire. There's an accident. Oh my goodness,
right.
It's happening.
Oh,
Hey,
okay.
there's an accident at the 104 mile marker down there by the Publix. Go check that out right now. Yeah, be upset, be mad. But
TJ's a first responder too. TJ is really good under pressure. He's really good dealing with things because besides that, he's kind of like you. He's a little not hyper, but he has a lot of energy. So, and I'm really surprised that there's this other side of him when he's a first responder or if there's a crisis. It's very let's take action. This is what we have to do. And he's very steady about it.
Well, you talk about hyperactive. The way I talk, when I get into a conversation with people, especially people such as yourselves and Jill and Rachael of the Girl Boss Next Door. Did I just reset a podcast? I feel like I'm on radio again. But when I get into a good conversation with good people like you, I like to stay involved and stay focused. And I like to learn from you. This is primarily a learning podcast. And what I get to do is I get to learn from people like you. And what I'm learning is how girls work. Because, once we get off this podcast, by the time we finish this, I'm going to know everything there is to know about women.
Yeah.
At least a little bit more than you used to, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
I'm not going to know everything. Maybe even scratching the surface. The minuscule surface. Maybe I'll get the top layer of dermis off of this one. But hey, I am learning and I'm having fun. Now, I didn't get the roadblocks that you might have gone through, Jill. I don't know. I'm seriously fighting this podcast. What kind of roadblocks have you come up with? And as a young single female, and then now as a woman, mother, and having a fella that you guys go through together in this world. Tell me about you.
What's funny is it's not like I was like super shy or whatever. I kind of grew up a little shy. And then when I got into acting, I think it really helped. And then even like hosting, like Rachel's awesome at it, by the way. Like we've only done 10 shows together and she's amazing. Like it's going to be our 10th show coming up this week.
Yes.
But I was terrible at hosting. I was. And I think TJ really helped me with that because he's done a lot more hosting than I have. He actually was I think he had told you in our previous interview, he was the first person that worked for TMZ in Nashville. And then he started Nashville Entertainment Weekly. And then I was also a host. So, and I currently am, of course, but it's so funny when you first learn like hosting, I didn't know what to say to people because for me, I didn't grow up in the world of country music at all. So I wasn't sure what to talk about. But then when we talked about pop artists or if we talk about film, I would be more engaging, but I would always forget my questions. I wouldn't respond. And we talked about this to one of the other people that we were interviewing that was a host, and she was talking about the things that she's had to overcome. And I think just learning how to be a better host, I think that was a little bit of an obstacle. Learning how to listen and respond, that was a bit of a challenge because you want to make sure that, especially when you're on camera, you want to make sure that you're engaging with the camera, you're engaging with your host next to you, you're also engaging with your guest. You're sitting properly because women, they're very judged on how they look constantly. So you're sitting properly, and I think it's just like a whole dynamic. You just have to make sure that you're there, you're ready, and you're prepared with your questions, your look and all that stuff. So, but it's fun. I mean, we love it. So it's definitely not necessarily an obstacle, but it's definitely learning that I enjoy doing, and it's just balancing. Because right now, Annalisa, our daughter, is not in daycare. So usually when I do interviews, when Rachel and I do interviews, Annalisa's napping. So I need to make sure that I get ready and I put her down for a nap and then she's good. And then hopefully she doesn't cry during the interview. And then we get our interview done and everything looks great.
Well, Jill, that must make it hard. That must make it hard to schedule an interview around napping because you never know when the daughter is going to say, "Oh, I'm not tired."
She's going to say, rock, I know. Mommy, rock.
Yeah, I know she wants me to rock. I don't rock her to sleep, but she wants me to sing Rockabye Baby. So she'll say, rock, mama, rock. She'll want me to sit there and sing. And it's so sweet. But, I need to make sure that I have enough time to do everything. And then, of course, I love working. I love being a partner, with TJ and our record label and our PR company. And, we manage several artists around the nation. And it's a lot of fun. So it's balancing like work life and home life is a lot of fun too because I love what I do. So it's just all making sure that I balance everything out. So I make sure I have time for family again because that's the most important thing. So, and it's not necessarily obstacles. And also, making time for travel because I really haven't had the opportunity to do that lately. And going to California, I need to do that so Annalisa can see my family. And because that like breaks my heart. I would rather be living there around my family, and it's a little bit of a challenge that I'm in the South. So,
well, Jill Santibanez, I think what you're gleaning, what I'm getting from this is that women's roles are changing because they want more opportunities. You want more things to happen, but still, women are primarily the caregiver. I mean, does TJ have to stay home with Annalisa and rock her and do those things? I mean, every once in a while he might pick up the baby and say, "Oh, okay, that's a kid." I have a little girl myself, and I go, "Yeah, that's a kid." But primarily, her mother is the one that gives her the care. In fact, it doesn't matter. It sometimes it feels like it doesn't matter if I was even in the house or not. But if my wife left, oh my goodness, my little girl would be devastated. But if I leave, it's just that guy. Are
that's
women's
not
roles
true?
No, it's
Hey,
absolutely true.
excuse you.
It's absolutely
That's
true.
not true. That's
Hey,
not
can I get a hug? No? All right.
Yeah,
See you
cool.
later. And then if the wife
Oh.
asks, can I get a hug? Oh, of course. Bam, right in. So yeah, I think women are still the caregivers. Am I old fashioned? Oh yeah, probably. I mean, as soon as she got pregnant, as soon as she wasn't able to work, she hasn't gone back and gotten a job out on the streets at all. Her job is to take care of that child and raise that child and homeschool that kid. That kid is so smart now at 15 years old because she gets homeschooled. What do you think about the roles? I think my wife is a boss for sure. Even though she doesn't work out in the streets or she doesn't, make an income, But what do you think about that?
Being mom is a full-time job all in itself. Oh
Yes.
my gosh. It's true. Just housework, and there's always something that needs cleaning, and somebody needs something. I mean, she's amazing. It's hard. I mean, just basically being a mom full-time is hard. It's hard work, man. I was like, okay, I'd rather go to work.
Well, Rachel,
I know what I'm doing out there. In here, I don't always know what I'm doing,
Well, Rachel,
you want to do the best for them.
What do you feel about the roles? Do you feel okay? Look, it's been, the man goes to work, hunt and gather, and the woman is home cooking and cleaning. Is that the way it should be, or should it be the other way around? I know a few people. My brother, his wife is a nurse, and she goes out. She's definitely the breadwinner, and then he stays home with the 4 kids. That's his role. That's my brother, and I know somebody down the street that does the same thing. Where maybe every once in a while he'll drive an Uber or deliver pizza, but primarily she is the breadwinner, and he stays at home with the children. What do you think about the roles reversing, and is that good for people? Is that bad? What are your ideas, Rachel?
Well, I think individual families and individual circumstances, you got to do what's right for you. I don't know if there's a right or wrong. I mean, both of my parents worked a lot, and then eventually my dad retired, and then he was home all the time, and my mom was working nonstop, because she loved it. She was career driven. She was like, I'm going to work, and I'm going to basically get to the top of her position, and she did. My dad was like, hey, you know what? I don't have the drive I used to have 20 years ago. I'm happy to stay home now. So I feel like it depends where you're at in your life and where you're at in your career. And the fact that there's more of an option now, I think is great. I mean, if you're with somebody and your spouse or your husband or wife or wants to take the reins on their career, and you're happy to give them the support and freedom to do that, I think it should always be a partnership in a way. And then just asking each other, what makes you happy, really. You kind of just have to do that for yourself too. And if where you feel most fulfilled is at home with your kids, stay home with your kids. In 10 years, that role might change, So being flexible, listening to your partner, or if you're just by yourself, you don't have a choice, though. I mean, I know so many people who don't have a choice because they are just basically the single dad, the single mom, and they got to do it all. But I think for the families that do have a choice, just communication and listening to yourself and fulfilling yourself.
Well, I listened. I asked my wife at least every 6 months, hey, do you want to go out into the world, and are you okay? Do you want to go out and get a job? Right. She says, no, I have the best job in the world. I take care of that baby, and that's the best job in the world. But Jill, what do you think about the roles of women changing, reversing, flipping, adding?
Yeah, well, with our record label and our PR company, I do that full time. So I do get paid for that. So I work from home, which is amazing. And I actually, when I was pregnant with Annalisa, our daughter, I never took a maternity leave. I was just working full time. So that did pose a few challenges because it's a lot of work, just, maintaining your health and making sure that you're getting enough rest and for yourself. And then when you're, when you need to, tend to the baby, that you're tending to the baby. So that was challenging, but I mean, I loved it because I would rather be home with my daughter And I would never give up that time, because some women, when they have that, office job, they have to give maybe 3 months to the baby, and then they put the baby in daycare. I just could not imagine my daughter in daycare at 3 months. That's just, I know a lot of women have to do it and they're forced to do it, but she's been with me for 2 years, and she's actually only spent 2 weeks in daycare. And that was 4 days, actually, because it was a Monday and a Wednesday, and then another Monday and a Wednesday. So, and then she stays with her grandparents. Sometimes, when we're gone to the studio to film something, she'll stay with her grandparents for a few hours. And we've actually left her with the grandparents overnight one night, so TJ and I could have like a mini vacay. But other than that, like I've been with her the whole time, and she's only been sick once, and that's when she went to daycare. So TJ said, we're taking her out. So I love having this time with her, and it's been like, I would not give it up for anything. So and when she does go in daycare, I do want to do maybe like 2 days a week. Like that's really all I need to make sure, that she's in front of kids and, getting that learning experience, because I'm not a teacher. I didn't go to school to be a teacher, but I have taught her many things, of course. But I do want her to have that experience to be around other kids her age and learn from them, because I think that's definitely growing for her, especially because all of her cousins are in California, and then, closer to Nashville, since I moved a little bit. But so it's really funny, but of course I'm still in the Nashville area, but they're just a little farther away. So I'm like, I feel like she's missing that opportunity to be around, especially family and kids. So I do look forward to her going into daycare a couple days a week. But again, back to the mom thing, like I love being a mom. I love finding that work balance, because working from home is amazing if you can do that with your child. And I think that, whatever makes you happy, whatever you can do. And TJ is the same way. Like he'll watch the baby if I have to go to the gym, or he cooks a lot, actually. So when you talk about mom roles, the cooking part of it, like I do try to cook a little bit, but sometimes the time runs out of the day, So TJ takes on a lot of the cooking, like 90%. Like he cooks for us. So it's amazing, especially when I was pregnant. He was like, don't worry about cooking. He always made sure like I had the best food. He would go and get me, whatever I needed. So, and, he does a great job out in the world working. And that's the reason that we moved a little bit, because for his job. So I'm happy that we're somewhere where, he's making a good living, and, that'll afford us, more travel opportunities and just different things for our family. So I think it's great. I think if you can just find that balance, like Rachel said, find that balance and just talk to your significant other, and whatever makes them happy too, and what makes you happy, it just really, it depends on the couple.
Yeah.
Well, it's fortunate that, I've seen you over the last year, and I've kept up with you, and it seems like you have a very good relationship. When both parents work, it's nice to have that partnership. There's a lot of times when both parents work, you'll still have the father that'll come home, sit on the couch, and expect the wife to do the cooking, the cleaning, and such. Now, I came from, primarily, she was a single mom between husbands, and she's been on the podcast, so I'm not airing out her dirty laundry. She aired it out herself way back in the What Makes You Famous podcast. But she was a single mom, and she had to leave me and my brother with relatives, grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles as we were growing up, and she had to go get 1 and 2 and possibly 3 jobs a lot of times. So a hard-working lady. I learned a lot from my mama. I learned a little bit too much when I had her on the podcast. If you listen to that, it warped my fragile little mind. The things that she was doing before I was born, back in the 60s, and the things that happened as I was growing up that I had no idea about, or very little idea about. But that's one lady that I'm proud of. I'm proud that she's my mama. But she had to work twice as hard to get half as much too. She had roadblocks. Just the pay that's been problematic over the years. A man will make $1 and a woman maybe 70 cents. Maybe.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that problem, Rachel?
Not for me personally. I haven't noticed it because I've never kind of put myself in a position where I would be competing against somebody else. I've always kind of worked for myself, if that makes sense. But I'm very aware of it. I mean, I have friends I grew up with. I mean, I don't want to say it's so much in Europe. I can't be sure. I don't know the facts there. But coming here, I did notice that was definitely a thing, especially in, TV and film. I mean, it's definitely has been a thing. The last maybe 3 or 4 years, that's been brought up to the surface, along with a lot of other things. Me Too movement kind of started that whole thing. And I feel like just people speaking their truth, people speaking out, women have, women's voices coming through stronger. And I actually think a lot of men really, in their core, they want that equality too. It's like, hey, if you're qualified and you're good at your job, what difference would it make, how you identify, in your gender, who you are, where you came from? It shouldn't matter. It just should matter if you can do the job or not. And I think people are just kind of a little bit sick and tired of feeling separated or feeling not worthy or feeling suppressed. And, it's not just a gender thing, it's a race thing too. So I know that I feel in LA that movement is breaking through totally, because, I mean, just maybe 5 years ago, Jill and I might be on set. You can count how many women are on set in one hand in, crew positions. And now you go on set and it's a lot more women. You do see that. When it comes to the pay, well, the union's going to protect you. So things are going in the right direction for sure.
Well, that makes me feel good. Go ahead.
Can I add to that really fast?
Please.
There are a lot of things that I believe women should do. And then there are some things, I mean, I don't want to say certain professions, but me, for instance, like and maybe this is like, anti-feminist of me, but I'm not like I'm not a passive person, and I'm definitely not, a violent person in any way, but I feel so proud, to be an American, and I feel so proud of our first responders, our police officers, and our firefighters. And I know, of course, because I'm a mom, if I really had to do that job, I would. But there are so many men out there that are doing that job every day, and I feel protected because of that. I feel protected that you have those men out there that are doing those jobs, that are serving, for us. And maybe that sounds anti-feminist, but it's only because in my heart, like, I couldn't do that job, so I feel like there are certain jobs that are more meant for men. And, but I mean, there are women out there doing those jobs. I just know in my heart, like, I've never shot a gun, so I would love to learn. I don't really like killing animals. I could never be a hunter, but if I had to, again, like, totally. TJ's a hunter. I love that he's, he does that role. Like, if like the apocalypse happened, he always talks about this. If the apocalypse happened, he's like, we would be okay. I'm like, okay. Like, if I really had to kill food, like a bunny, I would hate to do that. But I don't even like the idea of it. I don't like the idea of my dogs, because I have 2 dogs. I don't like the idea of them harming animals. So it's like, it's sad. So, because there's, in the South, there's just animals everywhere. So my dogs will be like, what are the bunnies and raccoons and the possums doing in our backyard? Like, they'll just take care of it, so I don't have to do that either. So that's really nice. It's like, that's a TJ job. Like, that's the man's job, if there's, but I'll kill a bug, because I have a daughter and I don't want the bug to get my daughter. So I will get my shoe. But I mean, there's a lot of things in this world I'm just glad that men are around to do. So,
well, Jill Santibanez, you're going to find out that as you interview more and more people, they're all the same. I'm thinking the exact same thing as you were. I mentioned I was a firefighter. Any girl that came into the team and won was the fire chief's daughter. She applied to be a firefighter, and I said, wow, if you can carry me 100 yards, right, I will respect you. And she did. and she almost collapsed and died that day. But
some women can.
Some women can.
Yeah.
And some women can't. But yes, call me a dinosaur. Yes, women should not be cops or firefighters or construction workers generally, but they can be the bosses because because they're as smart as anybody else. Some women can do that. If you have women that can be the boss, and I know I'm bringing it back around to the girl boss next door. Women that can do that job, more power to you for sure.
Yeah.
But fire chief women, no problem. Happy to have you, chief, no problem. As long as they're directing you properly. But the strong work, the heavy work, primarily men's jobs. Although there are some bodybuilding women and some strong women that are stronger than me for sure,
I know some of them. I definitely know some women who are stronger than any guy I've ever met. I will say this, though. I mean, I know growing up, maybe that was definitely something that you would notice. I mean, my dad, he was head of the CID. He was a cop, and I think if I'd have said to him, hey, I want to be a cop, I mean, he would never have stopped me doing it. Never. Because he knows I'm, a little ballsy, a little crazy like him, but I think that I don't think he would have been the happiest to know that just because of just everything that he had to go through. It's not easy. And just the things he would see on a daily basis, especially back then, in the 70s and stuff. So I think he would not have stopped me, but he would have said, you know what, it's hard, And it's not just physically. I think it's mentally very difficult for men and women. I will say this, though. With my daughter, I just always will feel like I would love her to be able to, know how to kind of do her own plumbing and maybe fix some electrical stuff, because I'm terrible at those things. And, hey, growing up, I wish somebody had shown me how to do that stuff. So it's not that I don't want to be able to rely on a man for those things, because I do like the idea that I think sometimes in a relationship, there are certain things that's nice to be able to say, hey, can you take care of this for me? And I think it's important to make sure that, your man feels fulfilled in that way. But at the same time, hey, if I can take care of these things myself, I don't feel like I have to be a burden all the time. To a man. So, when she's growing up, I'll be like, okay, firstly, we're going kickboxing. Secondly, let's try and do like a plumbing course together. Just because it's nice to know that stuff. I don't want to be like the damsel in distress and have to run to my neighbor and stuff, or my husband, so it's like, yes, maybe for physically demanding things, it's definitely harder for women, but I think mentally, we're strong and we're very, very capable. You just got to have the will to want to do it, I wish I could fix more stuff.
Rachael, as a man, I can do an oil change. But I'd rather pay someone else, man or woman, $50 to go change it. No problem.
No.
But you're talking about things that you need to learn to do. I'm getting a new home, and I went to the local hardware store, the Lowe's, and I was trying to get a mailbox. And I don't know how to plant a mailbox. I realized that when I went to Lowe's. Men think in straight lines. Men think in straight lines.
You have to get a postal digger.
Yeah, that's it. Men think in straight lines. I'm going to Lowe's. I'm going to get a mailbox.
Yeah.
Women would go, well, what am I going to wear? What car am I going to drive? How much money do I have in my purse? You think in circles.
Yeah.
You think in circles.
I get it.
You think about everything.
You know what, actually, it's so funny. TJ and I have this discussion frequently because he goes to Home Depot frequently. And if I do go to Home Depot on the rare occasion, he'll go in there by himself I'll be like, oh, look, like something pretty. So I'll walk to the pretty or the lighting or like the home decor or whatever. And he'll go to like the construction stuff. Like if he needs something again for the plumbing or a light bulb or a filter or whatever, like he'll go in that direction and I'll go in like the pretty area, and like 5 people will come up to me, ma'am, can we help you? And then like nobody will talk to TJ. Nobody will. But they will make sure that I'm okay. And I'm like, that's pretty nice. I feel like I'm a good consumer. I am a really good consumer. But we tell that joke all the time because TJ's like, somebody needs to help me. Like why?
Yeah.
Why don't you just ask the man if he needs help?
Yeah, I went to the guy and said, "Hey, I need to put this mailbox in. What do I need?" I didn't know.
Right.
And then afterwards, a quick Google search, bing, 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 41 to 45 inches above the ground with the pole. Now I know how to put a mailbox in. Yes, you have to learn.
Right.
You have to teach yourself.
It's one of those things, right?
All right.
It's one of those things you don't know how, and then you just kind of Google. Now, well, at least we can Google it now. We can be like, how do I do this?
It used to
and
be
see how difficult it looks.
It used to be the library. It used to be the library. I'd go to the library and get my self-help books and learn how to. Oh, look, how to. It's in the library. Now we don't have to go there. It's on our phone. It's but
totally.
All right, I might be throwing a monkey in the wrench as we wind this thing down, but I just found out. I just learned something, a new term for myself. I'm a cis male. And you appear to be cis females to me, right? Mm-hmm. What do you think about transgender males, or transgenders, males that are heading into females that are trying to do sports? Do you have any thoughts on this? This has been on my mind over the last year. Go, Jill.
I do. Yeah. So I was almost a professional athlete, and I love running. And I actually got a full ride scholarship to college with running. And I love it. I still do it. I walk more only because of, time that I have, but I really enjoy it. And a woman's body is built different than a man's. So unless they receive complete constructive surgery, women have hips, and hips weigh you down. So in running, you're going to run slower because you have body parts as a woman that weigh you down. Let's not talk about all anatomy, but let's just say your hips, right? Your hips are wider and you run slower because it's like weight. It's like a, bigger person as opposed to a thinner person. For instance, when you're bodybuilding, we don't have to get into bodybuilding like necessarily, but like, let's say a sprinter. When you're a sprinter, you do heavier weights because what you want those fast twitch muscles. So when you see a sprinter, they're like almost like muscle bodybuilder, right? So when they're doing their sprints, their 100-meter dash, their 200-meter dash, whatever, or even 400, they are like more muscular. When you see a runner, a distance runner, they're lean, they're tall, they're thinner because you need, the long muscles. So it's the same for women. You just have to make sure that you're being fair, because I ran faster than a lot of the guys on my team, and I think it made me a lot better because I ran with the guys on my team, and the girls were amazing. They were great. But when you challenge yourself, you have to challenge yourself, just like in business. You have to surround yourself with the best people, and you will grow. You can't, hide behind people. You can't say, I'm too scared, because that's not how you grow. So anyway, when especially when kids are kids, kids are kids, and I used to be, when I was in California, I used to be a lot more liberal because that's just what they teach you. Acceptance is important. I believe it is. But now that I'm a mom, you kind of have to speak up, and you have to say, I want my child to have every opportunity. I really do. And for me, because I've been through that, I've been through those hard workouts. I've worked out, I've done weights, all my life. And I've done like hard workouts all my life. But there's only a certain point that you can get when you're a woman. There's only a certain, pace that you can go, a certain, distance that you can reach, and as far as speed. So you really have to take that into consideration when it comes to professional sports, because it's just not fair. Like, I would love to be faster than a man. Like, that would be amazing. But I just don't think that it's necessarily possible unless your body is shaped differently.
Mm-hmm. I think we've never raced against each other, Jill, but I'm pretty sure you're faster than me. So you're faster than a man.
Well, competitively, though, if we both do the same workouts, and we're both at the same competitive, level, I would think that you would beat me. So it's just because you're, as a man, like, I think you're a little stronger, which men are, and you're built a little differently, which men are. So you have less to carry, basically, than a woman does.
No, I get it.
Especially all the anatomy that a woman does too, because that's weight.
I mean, for me, this whole idea got started, and I'm sure it was from before this, but Martina Navratilova tweeted out, a man is never a woman. And she got so much heat for that. And I felt for her because she's a lesbian. I mean, that's one aspect of her, and she's a woman. That's another aspect of her, and she's an immigrant, I guess, as well. She had many things, but she had full right to say, just like you were alluding to, a man has faster twitch muscles and such, and they're never going to be a woman, and they're breaking the transgender women are breaking all kinds of women's records, and is it being allowed? Or is it still debated?
I don't know. I did read something recently because I definitely read something about this. And I know a lot of people was trying to say, well, why not have transgender men and women compete against each other? I don't know where that conversation went. I think it's really quite difficult because it's something I don't know enough about to form a good opinion on. I know that I read something about testing hormone levels, knowing, perhaps testing somebody who's already transitioning or somebody whose hormones levels, they're taking hormone therapy, and perhaps, if they were a man and they're becoming a woman, kind of just comparing that to, a woman who was born a woman, testing her hormone levels against a transgender woman's hormone level to see if they're the same or not. We just need more science behind it, maybe, to make that kind of informed decision. I will never be able to give an opinion.
Yeah.
I agree with Jill in so many ways where, we both have kids. So it's like, if one of my children, decides, hey, listen, Mom, I want to become a man or a woman, vice versa, and they're going through that, I can imagine them being in school. I wouldn't want them to feel segregated. I wouldn't want them to feel left out. If my son tells me he wants to be a woman, I'm 100% behind him. I don't care what he does in life, who he loves, and what he wants to become. I'm with him. So as a child going through school, if he wants to compete as a woman, I don't see how or why he should be stopped. But then on a more professional level, I can see how that is going to be very difficult to determine. I don't know where that's going to go. It's hard.
I think it's dividing and separating us more as a people. I'm a dinosaur. It's always been men and women, whether they're gay or straight or bi or whatever. It's still always been men and women. There's only two sexes, but it's not a new thing. Girls will be boys, boys will be girls. It's a mixed up world. I think that's Lola. Lola, the song Lola, has those lyrics in it. But hey, I know we're not going to solve that issue on this podcast, but it's giving people thoughts and words to live by, and kind of giving them ideas of, hey, I'm not alone in this world. Being all mixed up, L, B, T, Q, X, Y, Z. The letters, they go on and on. L, B, G. Look, I just don't understand it. My chemistry is not wired that way. I love women, and I can't understand how another man could could see a guy's butt and go, love. I love that guy. But hey,
you never have to understand it.
I don't have to understand it.
That's okay.
I just, I'm okay with it.
You're wired the way you are.
Exactly.
You never have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I guess for me, I just don't. I just never really. It's not that I don't really care how love works. I think. Yeah. I mean, I grew up, and the woman who was our family, she was gay, and she was probably the strongest, most wonderful, loving woman. And she was the very first person in our life, and she was best friend to both of our parents. My parents were both very open-minded people. Even back then, they really were. Even my grandparents were. So I think it just kind of depends. Yes, you have your own opinion, but it depends on how you see love. And what my neighbor does has nothing to do with me at the same time. But do I agree that everybody deserves to just kind of be themselves and love who they want to love and be who they want to be, I do. You know, whether that's something for me or not, no, I definitely consider myself just, you know, I don't think that I would be bisexual. I don't think I am. But I do understand people who are. And I just like that people can be happy. You know, I like that it's being more accepted, because honestly, it's like, I don't think straight couples are better. You know what I mean? It's like, well, if you want to be gay and you want to love who you want to love, it's not for me to judge. It really isn't.
No, not for us to judge. You know, and the joke used to be, the gay men used to say, hey, I'd love to marry you, but it's against the law. I'm so sorry. Now they have that right to be just as miserable or happy as everyone else being married. I'm so happy about that.
So happy. I was so happy too. I was like, oh my gosh, of course. You know, just let people get married. Who cares? You know, can be just as miserable as everybody else. I love that.
Well, in the Florida Keys, I used to do weddings. I mean, hey, Key West is a mecca for the gay and lesbian. So I did plenty of weddings that were same sex. And hey, I don't understand it, but hey, love, more power to you. Mazel tov. Go get it. I don't get it. But Jill, you know, you've been we've gotten a lot of things. Jill, Rachael, you know, what's on the horizon for the girl boss next door as we get this plane and land it in the on the runway? What's on the horizon, Jill, for girl boss next door? Where do you want it to go?
I want it to go many places, and I'm so glad again that I'm working with Rachael. Just so excited about that. And we're definitely going to start doing merchandise. We can't wait for that. We're going to be getting cups and maybe purses, shirts, and a lot of things with our logo on it, that brilliant logo that Rachael came up with. Our title is amazing, and a lot of people, yeah, it seems to connect with a lot of people, and a lot of people like saying it, they like reading it, and it's fun, it's a little empowering. So we really like all the people that have come on that we know personally that we've been able to interview, and we've been reaching out to a lot more people just to hear insight and get some insight for ourselves about what we're doing that'll help us grow as people in our businesses too. So I know that merchandising is definitely going to be a thing. Television, of course, I'm looking into not only locally in Nashville, but worldwide television exposure, and also worldwide radio exposure that we're going to be signing contracts for hopefully this weekend, and just limitless possibilities. Thank you again for interviewing us, because this is our first interview. I know we did get a couple of other interview opportunities that people have said, I want to interview you, but you're our first to talk about our show, so thank you so much.
Oh, no problem at all. Like I said, we're supposed to be helping each other. But, you know, Jill and Rachael, the girl boss next door, as it grows, you're giving a platform to women. As it grows, you're going to be advocates for women and women's issues. You're going to end up being, I mean, because, you know, when the What Makes You Famous podcast started, I didn't know how big it was going to get. And here I'm talking to famous people like you. You know, celebrities, if you will, you know, famous writers and actors and just amazing creators in your own rights. But you just don't know where it's going to go. But if you keep chugging at it, you will get on the radar, and you will be one of those people that women will go to. Hey, I wonder what they think about this issue that's happening. And the same thing on the smaller scale that I just did to you, where I'm thinking about transgenders and what do you think about that, and women's issues and stumbling blocks, and a whole laundry list of things that we've gone over in this podcast just in the last hour alone. And there's so many other things on my mind and other people's minds, I'm sure. And they're going to be asking the girl boss next door, Jill and Rachael, hey, what do you think about these things? Are you ready for it, Rachael? Are you ready?
Oh, yes. I mean, I just respect everybody's opinion. You know, there's no right and wrong. There's just what I think. There's what Jill thinks. There's what you think. And, you know, all we just need to do is respect each other. I like talking to people who have a different opinion. I like learning something new. I like opening my mind, and I hope everybody else likes to do the same, you know? So I embrace that. I like talking about things that people are shy to talk about. and it just helps us to kind of learn more about ourselves. It helps us to learn more about each other.
There's no right or wrong. There's only opinion. You can get arrested in a lot of states for that. That kind of talk.
Who do I think I am?
Who do you think you are? All right.
Rachel and I are very. It's funny because when we talk to people, we stay away from politics. We stay away from major issues that are going on in the world, because a lot of people, I mean, it all comes back to family. It all comes back to, just being respectful of people. And I think that's really the main thing. And if we show, each other respect, we'll get that back, and we should get that back. And I think that's very important. I think that's, really a good starting point for everybody.
Which brings me to my next question. These Democrats, these Republicans, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
I think it's the people on the people on the far right and the people on the far left. Those are the ones that are causing the problems. Come on down the middle. Come on down the middle. It's nice here. It really is.
It'd just be nice for someone to be... I just like people who care about the rest of the working class and the middle class, and care about bettering the lives of citizens. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Come on, right down the middle. Pick a little from column A, a little from column B. We'll all have a nice meal right here in the middle. Get off the far right. Get off that far left. Come on down.
Oh,
take care of your families and put a roof over your head, have some money in your pocket, have some food on your plate. That's all we want. That's all we care about.
Exactly.
All right, Rachel. Jill, what religion are you? I'm just kidding. See, I'm making it weird. I'm making it weird.
Oh, I don't care about talking about religion.
We talk about politics and religion. That'll make for a
Catholic. I was raised Catholic and Christian, so I was never baptized. My parents actually felt like I should decide my own denomination. So I'm basically Christian. I go to non-denominational churches. Sometimes I go to Methodist, Presbyterian sometimes. I've actually never been to a Baptist church, but I do have a lot of friends across the board that are different religions, and I respect them all. But I definitely believe in God.
Well, I was born into a Catholic family, but now I'm American. You grow. And I have been to a Baptist church. I've been to the pulpit. I've been to you've been to fires.
I've never been to a Baptist church.
Oh, they're so fun. They're so fun. I don't even, I think I've been labeled as agnostic because I don't know if there's a God or no God. I can't prove it one way or another. I mean, I just try to be a good person. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So I guess I'm labeled. I'm put in that box. I'm an agnostic. I wasn't even trying to ask you what your religion was. You answered, and that was good. All right, let's.
I'm proud to say I believe in God. It's fine.
Cool. Very good. Yeah. I used to be zealous, zealot, man. Read the Bible 5 times, no less than 5 times, probably more. But, and then I got confused by the book. Is he a spiteful, hateful God? Or in the second half of the book, he's a loving God? I don't know, man. He's smiting a lot of people in the Old Testament and then loving a lot of people in the New Testament. That's a whole nother story, whole nother podcast. I can go another 3 hours on this one. Rachel, what do you think? Since Jill answered, go ahead. What do you think?
I mean, I'm one of those spiritual hippies, my mom used to take us to church. She opened our minds. I mean, growing up in England, I was surrounded probably by, a lot of kids from a lot of different religions, Muslim, Sikh, probably Catholic too. I do believe that God, and the universe is kind of one and the same. And I think that we all, if you are a religious person, you all are, giving praise and love to a higher power, and God is God, no matter what. But I've met people who say that they're very religious and they're very, Christian or Catholic or something, and they're pretty hateful and spiteful. And I've met people who claim to, be atheist, and they're extremely kind, loving, and giving. So it's interesting to me. I like learning about religion. But yeah, sure, I've been in the car and said, please God, get me out of this traffic. I do think that if you're a good, kind-hearted person and you take care of other people and you behave appropriately, that you'll get a chance maybe to go to heaven. Who knows? I don't have all the answers, but if I had to label myself something, I would probably say Christian, but I would definitely lean more spiritual, I think.
Yeah, I mean, since the Bible's the only book I've read on the subject, on the religious subject, I think it's a good book of instructions, if nothing else. It's a good book of instructions. Right. You know, read it, take a lot of the knowledge of it to heart, and live your life right. I think if the agnostic, the unbelieving side of me thinks maybe it was written just to keep people in a moral standing, and then the other side, you know, it came from God. That's another story. We might have lost Jill on the end of this.
Yeah, TJ's actually calling me. I think I need to. I might have to go. I'm sorry.
Well, no, we're winding this down. We're winding this down. 30 seconds.
I'm sorry.
30 more seconds.
I think it's because my daughter's about to take a nap.
Okay.
Well, all right. I mean, as we wind this down, let's. I usually finish these things off with last words for the people. This could be words to live by. I guess since you're the only one left here on the podcast, Rachael Ruby of the Girl Boss Next Door, you can give the last words for the people. Oh, wait, okay.
No,
Jill's back.
Come back. Thank gosh, I'm off the hook.
No.
I know. I'm sorry. TJ was calling me. I'm gonna have to leave in just a second.
No,
I didn't click off or anything. The call was coming through.
No, you're both still gonna do it. Okay, so Jill, I'm gonna let you give.
Have to get off that.
I'm gonna let you give the last words for the people, and then Rachael Ruby, you'll give the last words for the people. So this could be words to live by. Right. Jill Santibanez, last words for the people.
Well, I just appreciate everybody watching The Girl Boss Next Door. I appreciate Rachael for being a part of it and you for interviewing us today. And thank you so much, everybody. And God bless everybody.
Thank you, Jill. All right, Rachael Ruby, last words for the people.
Oh, last words. Thank you, people. We're really just here to inspire and to uplift other people as much as we possibly can. We really just love other people's endeavors and their adventures. And really, we're here to just bring a positivity to people's feeds, to people's ears. And if we can make somebody smile, that will feel like we had a good day and we did the right thing.
Well, there you have it, party people. Jill Santibanez and Rachael Ruby, very talented women's, out to help out other women's as well. And I suspect they'll help a few men out. They helped me out. They helped me out greatly. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, the What Makes You Famous podcast. And I wish you long happiness with your podcast, The Girl Boss Next Door. Look for it everywhere. There's video versions. There's audio versions. Yeah. I could see it being a place where people ask, hey, what's your opinion? And they will be happy to give it. And I'm very happy to listen to it as well. Learn lots from each other and teach lots to the people. Yeah, do it. We're all here to help each other. Thanks again for being on the show. Now, if I'm turning my attention to you, my loyal listener, would like to be on the podcast, on the What Makes You Famous podcast, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.